Kendrick Lamar just surprise dropped his new album GNX. Yup, it's everywhere. 12 tracks, great snippets that we've heard in the past, The Heart Part 6, and a possible second secret album. So let's talk about all of it. And if you're new or want to support the channel, leave a like and subscribe. It helps a ton. So yeah, Kendrick decided that he was going to surprise drop this shit on us today. His new album GNX is out now, and there's a lot to talk about with all of this. We finally got the snippet called Broccoli from the Not Like Us music video. It's the second track called Squabble Up on the album, and it's really sick. It uses some fire samples. Here's a quick listen to that.
Mr. Get Off, I get off in my feet.
So yeah, I think it definitely lived up to the snippet, but that's not all. It's looking like Kendrick is giving us an almost no features album except for one. That one and only big feature on the album is SZA. There are some smaller artists on here, but for the most part, she's really the only superstar on this project. So let's go into that a little bit. She's only on 2 songs here, Luther and Gloria. Some more SZA and Kendrick masterclass on Luther. It's just beautiful. They really never miss together, always cooking that shit up. Here's a snippet of that so you can float a little bit while watching this video if you haven't heard it already. Yeah, so that right there, in my opinion, is really going to be the big hit off of GNX for sure. There are other songs on here that I think that Kendrick just did his thing on, like Hey Now, TV Off, and SZA's second song on here, Gloria. And there's so many different theories that I have with this project right now, different meanings for things. I don't think this is the actual real album we're going to get from Kendrick. The thing everyone has been waiting for, there's definitely a second one, which I'll explain in a bit. But first, let's talk about what this project that was surprise dropped actually is first. This album is very different from what we've seen from Kendrick in the past with his albums, but it's really doing a great job of just continuing this man's Black Air Force One energy through the beef into this project. Very LA. It doesn't seem too hit focused. It's truly just for the culture. And I know that sounds like I'm low-key bouncing on it, ayo, but hear me out. It feels very similar to what rap fans probably most recently listened to, Chromacopia from Tyler, the Creator, where you might not have those hits that are going to be completely mainstream and have 1 billion plays, not a ton of replay value for the average listener besides a few cuts, but it feels there. The music is good, and I think that this project is going to age like fine wine because of it. And when I say not hit focused, I don't mean that there are no hits, because songs like Squabble Up, Luther, Dodger Blue, Gloria, and more are going to pop off. Those are the quote unquote hits in my opinion, if we want to pick some out of this track list. But when you look at a project like Damn, where every song is literally a hit and good for the average listener, they're just built different. This album is so obviously heavily ingrained and inspired by West Coast culture, just so many different LA bangers on this thing, and that's what I mean by it's very centered around one type of people and their culture, in this case LA, which is what Kendrick does best and gets praised for on T-Pop and Good Kid Mad City. I also want to hear your guys' take on this. Comment your favorite track on this thing, because I have a feeling that this album is going to be one of those projects where everyone has a different favorite song. Now that I've given my little reflection on listening to this project and my opinion on things and what I think, I do want to talk about how I don't think this is actually the album. Obviously, Kendrick dropped it. It's in his discography. It's there. It's an album. But so many different things are pointing towards this kind of being an appetizer for what's really to come with the main course meal. First, let's start off with how much of a surprise this thing really was, because his label Interscope, which is part of UMG, didn't know about it until the morning of release. He deadass just threw this on them, nobody knew, and they dropped it. So that is kind of our first sign of something a little fishy going on with this whole rollout right off the bat. Along with this, we did receive a ton of news coverage recently that Kendrick would be collaborating with Taylor Swift on his new project. And well, let's just say this is the last fucking album that I could ever see Taylor Swift on. And on top of that, this new project only being 12 songs long, only 45 minutes, it definitely feels like the calm before the storm where something huge is coming. Especially with Kendrick performing at this next Super Bowl coming up, we're sure to see a really big performance there, and there is not a single song that I think Kendrick could perform at the Super Bowl here besides maybe Squabble Up. What also makes me think that we could could be getting a second album is just that this project really felt like the separator between the beef and his next project. It feels like a look back on the entire year, and I think once we get the actual album, if there is a second one, that this will make a lot more sense. Obviously, the Drake beef was a huge thing, and no matter what happened with Kendrick's next project, people were going to be talking about Drake with whatever it dropped, even if it had nothing to do with him. My theory is kind of that this was to wash out all of that conversation before he drops again, and we really get that album that everyone's been waiting for. I don't know, definitely just having fun with it and wanting to share my thoughts after first listen of what we could be seeing. I think there's a lot to analyze here, and I'm sure we will be engulfed with all different types of things involving Kendrick all throughout this next week. I'm really excited to talk about everything this album has to bring. Like I said, comment your favorite songs, your opinions on the album, anything. I will keep you guys updated. Like and subscribe if you're new. Join my Discord, the best music community on the entire internet. Thanks so much for watching, and on that note,